So I just recently reread Dandadan or Dandadan. I don't know how you say it. And I got through the Don Mara arc. That's where it currently has stopped. There is like another arc that's ongoing, but it's ongoing, so I'm not gonna rank it. But yeah, after rereading it, I thought I kind of want to rank the arcs. So that's what I'm doing in this video. And before I start the list, I just like to say I don't think there's any like just straight up bad arcs in Dandadan, but there are some that are at least I consider boring. So, or more boring compared to the others. At number 9, I placed the Serpo arc, which, like I was just saying, it's not well. Okay, it is kind of bad, but it's mostly, at least on a reread, kind of boring compared to a lot of the other arcs. Plus, it's like the what was it like deep space thing they introduce is something that it's this interesting concept. I personally just never really liked the whole them going into like some kind of subspace to fight the aliens because it kind of doesn't make sense because later on they do that and it copies the nanoskin, which is supposed to be some kind of super rare thing. Uh, so it's like how the aliens do that, or maybe it's like I don't think I fully understand it. So to be honest, it's probably just something on my fault. But even without the whole deep space thing, I just didn't find this arc as entertaining as some of the others. Plus, its main focus just seems to be showing that Era or Ira, again, I don't know how to say it, has powers too now. So at least that's what I think it's mostly is pointing towards. It also does introduce, you know, the Peeny Weenie. So it's not bad. Is at the number 8 spot, I put the Onbusuman arc, which, I put here for pretty similar reasons to why I put the Serpo arc pretty low. It's just not as entertaining. Uh, well, yeah, now that I think about it, the Serpo arc also introduced the yokai fighting off the aliens. But still, I put it there. But yeah, this arc, it introduces Rin, who I just don't think is as interesting a character as some of the other ones introduced. We did get to see the return of the Hayashi band, which was cool. Uh, Also, I just didn't think that Rin's backstory was as interesting or just good as some of the other backstories. Uh, the giant chase scene was pretty cool though, and when I first saw the Buddha thing carrying the giant school on my first read, I did laugh at that. So it's again, it's not bad. It's just kind of boring. I guess the term I'm looking for is mid. So yeah, sorry if this is your favorite arc. Always, from here we start going from arcs that I thought were just kind of boring to arcs that were good. It's just I like more arcs better, or I guess more isn't the correct way to say it. Other arcs better. Yeah. So at number 7 is the Evil Eye arc. Like I said, it's a good arc, such as the action that you can see here, which is another thing about Dandadan. Is just the action is so amazing. But I guess this isn't the video to be talking about that. That would be like an art video. But yeah, I think it had some good action. From what I remember, this was the arc with those composers who are floating and turn into bobbly heads, which was pretty interesting. But again, not as it's just compared to a lot of the other stuff. It's just kind of boring. But the arc as a whole wasn't really boring, I'd say. Now, I don't know what people would think of my previous 3 picks. I don't think people are going to get angry at them. But my next one, people might heavily disagree with me with, to put it lightly. Heck, maybe I'll even get hate. Probably not, but I'm guessing a lot of you are going to think I'm kind of crazy for putting it this low. But at my number 6 spot, I put the Acrobatic Silky arc. I swear to you guys, I like it. I just like other arcs more. So don't be angry at me. Like, as far as writing goes, like it does have some of the like one of the best backstories. What's more is the main villain, the Acrobatic Silky, is pretty good too. Being like this picture I chose is still to this day probably one of the most terrifying images I've ever seen, and just like it's just so intimidating. I mean, I hate the word, but it has aura. I gotta be honest, it has aura. I hate using that word, but I can't lie, it does have it. Uh, the action is also really good, and how they defeat the acrobatic Silky with making all her hair go around the like steel beams in the warehouse. It was a pretty cool action scene, and I found it especially interesting because they used a mix of strategy and increasing strength. So it's one of the most, I don't know, I can't find the words for it, but it's fun seeing that. Also, it's pretty sure. I guess maybe if you it could be the Turbo Granny arc, but I'm pretty sure technically speaking this is the first arc to have Turbo Granny and the cat doll. I'm not sure. I guess it's just based on a chapter by chapter basis, but this is the first arc where I guess you get used to it. So, yeah, that's also another plus to this. But as I said, is it I just like other arcs more. I don't hate this one, okay? I just like other arcs more. So, don't go crazy on me. Now, for my 5 and 4 spot, it's really close between the Kaiju arc and the Cursed House arc. It's hard to decide, like which one should go where because I like them both a lot. So, you know, I had to spend a lot of time thinking about which one should go at number 5, which one should go at number 4. And I'm guessing, maybe in the future my opinion on it might change. Uh, but at least for now, at number 5, I have to place the Cursed House arc. This arc is basically like I'd say probably what made me just really decide, oh yeah, this is a really good series. I need to keep reading this. Like, I feel like I could have worded that better, but I don't know how else to word it. I guess the arc that made me fall in love with the series, I don't know, but it's a really good arc. The highlights, of course, being the whole like final battle with the worm, and then like Gigi having the evil eye like possess him, which goes into the evil eye arc. Uh, this and because they lead so much more for the future with the subterranean plot line. With the Keto family. It also explains why. Well, I guess technically it wouldn't be needed, but it does add on to why the worm was so important to them, more than just protecting them. I guess it's an underground thing, so it's like an ally. Would I guess now that I think about it, would be protecting them, right? Uh, Plus, what's more with the Evil Eye's backstory and just like how the artist Yukinobu Tatsu drew the Evil Eye when he was like on the floor. It's a child. Oh, it's just it's heartbreaking, man. I guess the one complaint I might have is that at least when I was reading it, it almost seemed like Turbo Granny was making the Evil Eye seem out to be like some giant foe, which I mean is strong and stuff, but it's like he he should have just been staying around this like one territory or province or house, whatever. The way Turbo Granny was talking about the Evil Eye made it sound like some kind of thing that had been wreaking havoc on Japan for millennia. I don't know if that's cause like the it's a similar thing with the Brella boy who possessed Unjizuma later on. I don't I don't know if it's like that where the evil eye possessed this kid, but that just kind of weirded me out. Or not weirded me out. It just seemed kind of off to me. Uh, but again, it might just be a problem of reading comprehension. Remember, I did reread this I may have sped red. Yes, I'm sorry. But yeah, good arc, a great arc. And as for number four, of course, it's the Kaiju arc. This arc, it would have been like maybe mid, but there is one thing that makes it not mid. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Kinta Sakata, the goat. Like, that Dandadan popularity contest that came up recently. I voted for him. He's the goat. I had to. Gotta vote for the goat. Gotta vote for the goat. Dang. I didn't even realize it, but that line goes hard. But yeah, Kinta Sakata, the goat. It introduces him. What more is there to say? He's a really fun character. Oh yeah, I guess it also introduces Vamela. She's cool too. And to start off the top three, I gotta go with the Turbo Granny arc. It's what started the series off, but more importantly, it has good action, and the Flatwoods monster. As much as I said I don't like the deep space thing or whatever it was called, I don't remember. That did help introduce it earlier on, which otherwise, I guess, if they didn't, it probably wouldn't be introduced till like the Serpo arc, which was. So yeah, I guess having that was a fun fight, and it introduced that part early. And of course, it had the whole sad backstory thing with all the people dying, and then like the Turbo Granny like collecting their souls to console them. And of course, it has the other goat, Turbo Granny, who is a bit strange, to put it lightly. But then, they put her in the cat and ally now. So yeah. And finally, the only two arcs that I have not ranked yet are, of course, the Space Globalist arc and the Don Monra arc, or I guess as I like to call it, the Jumanji arc, because let's be honest, it's basically just the Jumanji arc. So, which one do I think should be at number two? Which one do I think should be at number one? Ultimately, I had to put the Space Globalist arc at number two. It basically has everything that Dandadan arc needs. Has the tragic backstory with Vamla or Vamla. Then it also has a bunch of action. The characters get stronger, of course. Uh, Shows the spirits going crazy with Reiko destroying the fleet. Uh, you know, puts like the characters in more like I guess gives them more dynamics and stuff like that. Uh, Puts them in a sticky situation where they're basically fighting with the world on the line. Uh, it, of course, it isn't perfect as no arc is. Uh, it's not bad. It's what I'm gonna talk about next. It's just that when I was initially reading it weekly, back before I stopped and let it build up some chapters, when I was reading Vamla's backstory weekly, I just did not care. I just wanted to get back to the action, which, to be fair, that might be my own fault, my shonen melted brain. So, but of course, that's not a problem anymore, as now you can binge read it. So, we don't have that problem anymore. So, as far as that problem, it's pretty good. Or it's out of the way. So, yeah. And it's not particularly bad about the story, but it does kind of restrict the future this arc because having such a gigantic alien invasion means that, let's say in the future, Yukinobu Tatsu wanted to introduce like some kind of organization like the Illuminati or some kind of SCP thing, then considering the fact they just allowed these aliens to invade Earth, it would make them seem less a threat. Of course, who knows if that will be added, but considering how Dandadan is all about the conspiracy theories and stuff, it sounds like something that would happen. So it's kind of getting rid of that possibility, or at least it's making it so that if the author does decide to do that, it won't be as good. But as far as the arc itself, with no future implications, it's really good. And of course, at number one is the Don Manra arc, or the Jumanji arc, whatever you want to call it. It's amazing, man. Of course, there probably is a bit of recency bias, especially since I'd read each arc before, and then I left for a little while to reread it. So this arc is fresh, it's new, so that might add a little bit of bias into it. But even with that added, it's just amazing. It adds so many new elements with the whole reveal of like Dandadan being some kind of like entity or thing. Count Saint Germain. He might have been introduced in the earlier arc. I don't remember, but it also finally has Okarun finish his quest. I don't really know if Dandadan is considered to have sagas, but if so, I guess this would probably be the end of the first one because they completed the first objective. Uh, of course, it had the giant fight with like the card deity thing, uh, which was just, I guess I wouldn't call it the best thing ever, but dang! As far as Dandadan goes, I have to say the fight with the fairy tale possessed, or the fairy card possessed Unjizuma is the best fight so far. Especially because it's like a named character that you care about, whereas a lot of the other fights, like all the fights in the Space Globalist arc, are just with random enemies. Of course, they're strong, which is important, but at the end of the day, they're like just random people. But this is someone you actually care about, and even if they weren't, it's someone who has like established abilities and stuff, which makes it more impactful than some of the other fights that had happened so far. What's more is, of course, did I mention it already? I don't know. But there's the whole scene with Takakura teaming up with Rukuro and the police officer. Then they fight it, which the police officer, I don't remember his name, but him fighting with nothing but like just his armor and stuff and no abilities, just cool. And I like how he's characterized because at first, you think he's some kind of suspicious guy that's just like that maybe was put under some kind of spell, but then it's revealed that seemingly, or at least it's insinuated that the reason why he wasn't telling them about the golden ball is because Unjizuma took it. Or at least, I'm pretty sure it insinuates that, but again, I kind of read fast, especially because of how hype the arc was. So, I had to, you know? Like I said with the Dandadan, the addition of that just adds in like a bunch of new theories that can be made. The confession scene was, of course, amazing, though due to what happened to Momo, it's take a while to pay off. But still, at least they did it not like way at the end of the series, like just a bunch of romance series do. Like, it might technically be part of the next arc. I don't know, but the part where Takakura releases his abilities to Turbo Granny, it's just it's so amazing, bruh. This is why Dandadan is actually good compared to a bunch of the other new gen, like Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm sorry, is I liked it, but it doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it the same. Dandadan pays off the stuff it sets up, at least for now. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. Oh no. Maybe I should delete this. Yeah, that's my arc ranking.